Welcome back, A Players, to episode 28 of the A Player Adventure podcast. I'm your host, Suzette West. In previous episodes, we've explored organizational archetypes such as the coherent organization and the fragmented organization. We've also discussed the challenges organizations face as they attempt to navigate increasing complexity, uncertainty, and change. Today, I'd like to introduce a perspective that has emerged from both my scholar practitioner work and ongoing research. The idea that change management may represent a form of organizational inner work. Most of us are familiar with the concept of inner work at the individual level. We often associate it with self-awareness, personal growth, emotional regulation, learning, healing, and transformation. Yet, what if organizations have their own version of inner work? What if some of the difficulties organizations experience during change are not simply technical or operational challenges, but reflections of deeper relational, leadership, and organizational dynamics that must also be addressed? To explore this possibility, I did a little research, and here's what the record shows. A widely cited Project Management Institute report found that 64% of organizations were only moderately successful at change management, while 18% were highly effective, and yet another 18% were minimally effective, suggesting that better process design alone has not solved the problem. Additionally, ProC research shows that projects with effective change management are 7 times more likely to meet or exceed objectives. The difference, they cited, was a structured methodology that addresses both technical implementation and individual adoption. So here's why change is so hard. Historical and organizational research points to deep structural reasons. Organizations tend to drift toward stability and existing power relations, routines, and middle management incentives often resist disruption. More recent change capacity frameworks also emphasize that successful change depends on trust in leadership, engaged middle managers, effective communication, accountability, and systems thinking, all of which vary widely across organizations. The current overall picture suggests that organizations are not particularly good at change, especially when it is large, cross-functional, or culturally demanding. At the same time, the evidence suggests this is not simply a matter of people resisting change. More often, it is a capacity issue involving leadership alignment, communication quality, sponsorship, trust, and organizational design. Historically, the clearest takeaway is that change management has been recognized as a discipline for decades, yet organizational success rates have remained stubbornly mediocre. In practice, organizations tend to do best when they treat change as an enterprise capability rather than a one-time project. So in this episode, I would like to propose a different perspective. One that views change management as the inner work of the organization. The concept of inner work is often associated with individuals. It involves developing self-awareness, recognizing patterns of thought and behavior, understanding strengths and limitations, and learning to navigate life's challenges with greater wisdom and intentionality. Yet, organizations too possess internal factors that influence their effectiveness. Beneath visible structures such as strategy, technology, governance, and operational processes exists a deeper relational and coordination layer that shapes how people work together. Just as individuals benefit from inner work, organizations must engage their own form of inner work if they hope to sustain effectiveness amid increasing complexity and change. In previous episodes, we introduced the archetype of the coherent organization, a self-aware organization capable of learning, maintaining clarity, alignment, and coordinated action despite uncertainty and pressure. We also introduced the fragmented organization. Fragmentation occurs when departments drift apart, priorities compete, communication weakens, and leaders begin operating from disconnected interpretations of organizational reality. Importantly, fragmentation does not necessarily reflect a lack of talent or commitment. Many fragmented organizations are filled with capable and dedicated people. Rather, fragmentation often emerges when organizational complexity exceeds the collective capacity for coordination and shared understanding. So when we consider change management as organizational inner work, the first step in building capacity for successful change is collective self-awareness. Organizations cannot address conditions they are unable or unwilling to recognize. Communication breakdowns, leadership tension, siloed thinking, mistrust, burnout, and competing priorities often accumulate beneath the surface long before they become visible in performance metrics. Collective self-awareness creates the opportunities for leaders and stakeholders to observe these patterns together, not to assign blame, but to understand the organization's current condition. Organizations cannot heal what they cannot collectively recognize. And this work cannot be done all at once. Like personal growth, it unfolds gradually, one challenge at a time. However, awareness alone is rarely enough. Just as individuals often encounter fear, frustration, uncertainty, and emotional intensity during periods of personal growth, organizations encounter similar challenges during periods of change. The difference is that organizations experience these challenges collectively through the relationships that connect leaders, employees, customers, investors, board members, partners, and other stakeholders. As uncertainty increases, trust can weaken, communication can break down, and relationships can become strained. Emotions such as fear, anger, frustration, anxiety, and even outrage can quickly derail the best intentions and carefully designed plans. This matters because relationships are not merely interpersonal experiences. They are among the most valuable resources available to an organization. Trust in leadership, communication quality, social support, collaboration, psychological safety, stakeholder confidence, and healthy working relationships all function as resources that help organizations navigate stress, uncertainty, and change. This is where coherence becomes important. Coherence, in simple terms, is a state of optimal human functioning where individuals, relationships, and organizations are aligned, connected, and able to respond effectively under pressure. It involves clarity of purpose, shared understanding, emotional steadiness, and the ability to coordinate action effectively even in the face of uncertainty. Developing coherence is a critical part of inner work because it enables people and groups to process challenges without becoming fragmented, reactive, or disconnected. Without coherence, stress and complexity tend to amplify confusion, conflict, and communication breakdowns. With coherence, individuals and organizations are better able to learn, adapt, and move forward together. Just as individuals often develop greater coherence through personal growth and transformation, organizations may do so by learning to navigate change together, which is why change management is essential. Coherence helps individuals and groups remain connected, communicate more constructively, regulate emotional intensity more effectively, and maintain trust during difficult circumstances. In doing so, coherence helps protect and strengthen the human and relational resources that support healthy psychosocial functioning and organizational resilience. Coherence is perhaps best understood through the metaphor of growing a garden. Healthy gardens do not emerge accidentally. They require vision, planning, preparation, stewardship, and ongoing care. The same is true for organizational coherence. Trust, communication quality, leadership alignment, psychological safety, and constructive approaches to tension form the soil from which coherence grows. Just as a garden cannot be proclaimed into existence, coherence cannot be declared through a mission statement, cultural slogan, or transformation initiative. It must be intentionally cultivated over time through practice, learning, reflection, and shared experience. Perhaps this is one reason why change remains so difficult despite decades of research, frameworks, and methodologies. Organizations often focus on changing structures, processes, technologies, and behaviors while overlooking the human and relational conditions that influence whether change can be sustained. Yet just as individuals cannot bypass their inner work and expect lasting transformation, organizations cannot bypass theirs either. Change management, at its core, may be one of the most important arenas in which organizational inner work takes place, with coherence serving as an essential component of that work, regardless of the form that the change initiative takes. The journey toward greater coherence and successful change unfolds gradually, one problem, one conversation, one relationship, and one step forward at a time. Until next time, A players, this is Suzette West, signing off. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the A Player Adventure Podcast. If something stirred your heart or sparked a new insight, I would love to hear from you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or share the episode with a fellow leader who's ready to build something real. Remember, personal coherence fuels leadership coherence, and that's what makes team coherence possible. Until next time, stay true, stay grounded, and keep leading with heart.